तीन से ज़्यादा क्यों हो गया? So we are live now. Over
Amazing.
to you guys.
Thank, thank you, Ali. Hello, Harman. How are you?
Hi, Kavita. I'm good. How are you?
All well, thank you. Welcome to the season 2 of Soul Show, episode 3. Good evening, everyone, and good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. I'm Kavita Kanaparthi, your host for today, and I welcome you to the Soul Show. The Soul Show, a tech talk for shaping the future of digital identity. Although we like to consider ourselves the identity company, we are very much interested in what exactly is happening all across the blockchain and the Web3 revolution. And today we wanted to talk to Herman, somebody who is, I probably will continue talking about him for the next half an hour if I don't, keep it short. But I will introduce him as one of the top 50 blockchain influencers in India, a distinguished blockchain consultant and a Web3 expert, an accomplished author, and an esteemed advisor. Please meet Harman Puri, who's our speaker for the day in the season 2 and episode 3 of Soul Show. Harman's journey in blockchain and Web3 domain has been nothing short of remarkable. He advises, he shapes the Indian Web3 ecosystem, and he organizes major summits and educates 5,000 students. And that is no mean task. His work with renowned institutions like Amity University in India has earned him the Amity Excellence Award. And I can continue on, but he has advised multi-million dollar companies, some of them to be some companies that you would know, Algorand and Nexo. His consulting expertise speaks volumes of who he is, how his advice is actually coveted, and his also spans blockchain migration from Swiss fintech firms and advising NFT projects. If you're building something in NFT, if you're in fintech, if you're anything in doing anything in blockchain, here's a man that you can reach out to. He is great in advising, educating, and spreading the joy to build your company. Um, and one more thing, white papers. We're going to come to this topic during the session. White papers are the cornerstone of every Web3 project, blockchain project also, and also any other project, whether you're in Web2 also, right? You want to write your white paper that is understood by the people who develop. He's written 8 white papers, 2,000 blogs, and Herman's contribution is unparalleled. So here is a man in flesh and spirit. Herman Puri, welcome to the show. And please take a few minutes to introduce yourself, because I know and I can tell that I probably have not spoken everything about who you are and what you do.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much, Kavita, for first of all for inviting me at this show and having me here. Thanks for that lovely introduction. Really admire what you guys are doing at Soulverse and the Soul Show, right? It's a great way to interact and bring more ideas to fruition and help people understand more perspectives from meaningful conversations. I'm really
Yeah.
glad to be here. You covered most of the things about me. That's me in a summary, but I'll just like to share a little bit, something that people don't know. In fact, how I started my journey into blockchain. Usually, most people start their journey through Bitcoin. Once they hear about Bitcoin, they start exploring and they get into blockchain. That's 90% of the world out there, right? They see
Yes.
that, okay, Bitcoin is growing good, and then they get into it. I
Yeah.
got into blockchain when I wanted to find an alternative to data storage, that cloud is not safe.
Mm-hmm.
That cliched quote of that, Google is stealing your data, whatever you are searching, they're stealing the data. When I got to know about that, I
Mm-hmm.
started exploring and found blockchain. And one thing that I did right in the starting of my career, which I would love to share with everyone, is I
Mm-hmm.
left a high paying job to get an internship in blockchain, which was just
Mm-hmm.
5,000 rupees a month in a different state than I was in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
starting with that, it helped me a lot in my career. And anyone who's listening, I would highly recommend, if you are not into blockchain, just get
Yeah.
into it, Don't think about the money, just get into it.
Yeah. That's a great recommendation, guys, coming from somebody who has started his career with a 5,000 rupee job, and look where he is today. Thank you, Herman. Thank you so much for the introduction and the advice, and so to speak. But what I know, the topic today is very broad, right? Navigating the blockchain and Web3 revolution, whether it is enterprise adoption, whether it is NFT ecosystems, innovating in emerging markets, and educational empowerment. Each of them, can encompass and a whole top, a whole session on their own. But what I would like to focus is, everybody today is trying to understand what is the best way to have their customers understand why it is important to actually take a look, just the way you said, don't think about it, doesn't matter what the money you're going to get, go and jump into learning about blockchain and what the revolution is all about, right? What advice would you give an enterprise
So
in the
that's
exact
an
same? Yeah.
yeah, that's an interesting question, and that's something that I've been trying to do also for a long time. Eventually, when you move past that financial barrier of getting into ROIs and how much return it's going to give you as an investment, you should realize the potential of blockchain. In an essence, for any enterprise, the right decision making, the right transparency, the right responsibility, the right ownership. These are some of the factors that blockchain encapsulates or blockchain integrates automatically into every ecosystem. By having blockchain, you don't have to worry about any kind of nuisances or manipulation, or even when you sleep at night, you don't have to think about what's happening behind, right? You know that whatever is happening, there is going to be responsibility, there is going to be an action taken, because everything is being recorded. Everyone knows that they cannot mess it up because they will be answerable for it. And that's the biggest incentive of all, right? As human beings, we find out disadvantages in every process. That okay, because of bribe we were not able to get into that particular exam, because of some other quota we were not able to get into that particular exam, because of non-transparency in the politics or the government ecosystem we are not able to get better roads. We discuss these disadvantages, and blockchain gives us the power to take a step towards making it right, to create an ecosystem of trust. And that's the biggest incentive of all. You can focus on ROI as much as you want. At the end of the day, that's a very important topic for any investor, customer, everyone to hear about. But when you focus on the true values of blockchain, the transition is obvious.
You said it, in just a few words, I would say, Herman, building trust. What Solvez is talking about is, take the first steps and build the trust, right? The way you build the trust is, we can say go slow, build trust, take the leap, build trust, or whatever it is. But building trust is the most important advice that anybody can give to enter the blockchain industry, and that is for both the user and the enterprise and the government. It is if you put all the trifecta of all these people into on a triangle, everybody needs to build trust between them. Like the citizen needs to build trust with the government that they're not going to be, they need to be chased down for anti-money laundering or terrorism or anything like that. So a citizen needs to be able to build the trust, and that they are actually a true sovereign citizen, right? So this is exactly where we want to talk about, how do you advise enterprises to take the leap? What are the strategies that they can follow to begin taking the leap into the blockchain industry? Sometimes I find it very overwhelming. They have legacy systems. The same thing that when it happened, when databases arrived on the scene, when email arrived on the scene, when all these things came on the scene, everybody was like, well, we do paper and pen, and we send डाक घर से हम डाक बेचते हैं, या or we send a telegram or something, or we make a phone call on the landline and things are done, or I go to my neighborhood bank and I get things done. So people were very pretty adamant, including enterprises, that they cannot build the trust with their users. Today, exact same situation that we are in. How do you advise enterprises to take the leap? in terms of what are the first steps that they can actually follow? What is the low? And we talk about as founders, what is the low hanging fruit, right? How do I get my customers to the product that I'm developing? What would you tell the enterprises? What are the low hanging fruits in blockchain that they can adopt?
So again, that's a great perspective to shift from a view of how they should do it, but more importantly, focusing on why they should do it, right? Why is the key word here? Why someone should consider
Right.
investing so much? Because integrating blockchain is not easy. It requires a lot of
Yes.
resources, a lot of effort, a lot of time, right? But at the same time, uh, it's a simple question. When you got into internet, you got into it because you knew that there's the next wave of digital literacy, the next wave
Mhm.
of, as you rightly said, from letters to dark khana to emails, how it shifted and what kind of productivity it had. So my question to enterprises is just simple. Imagine if you were not having, emails today. How will you
Mhm.
communicate? You will maybe send a letter, you will get a response in 7 days, 8 days, 10 days, and then you will communicate, right? You cannot
Right.
imagine your life without email right now. And
Right.
internet represents a form of communication. Okay, it's better. Like we are sitting together, we are having a
Mhm.
conversation, it's a communication. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible without internet, right?
Right. Yes.
The next
There's a
thing
cost to
to
it, right?
focus,
Otherwise, I have to
yeah,
charge to you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And the next thing to understand and to focus on is the cost of privacy and security, right?
Mm-hmm.
Communication is
Mm-hmm.
good. At the same time, you cannot get that kind of privacy that you had with your letters. You cannot get that in emails. What if
Mm-hmm.
you had that closeness, this associating feature of traditional letters, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, you had the speed and comfort of emails?
Of
Bring them
internet.
together and you get
Yes.
blockchain, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
blockchain is not something new that's come out of in the world. It's a very old
Mm-hmm.
concept. Being an
Yes.
Indian, you focus on the panchayat system, how it used to work for thousands of years,
Mm-hmm.
right? Gandhiji
Mm-hmm.
specifically wanted India where every small village has a panchayat system which responds to a city, then a state, and then India, right? Rather than one single
Mm-hmm.
authority, there is a decentralized system
Mm-hmm.
of people communicating and then making sure decision making is good. That that
Right.
value of privacy and decision making and equality that you cannot
Mm-hmm.
achieve in internet, but at the
Yeah.
same time what you have in internet is unparalleled. Why not
Yes.
combine it both, right? Why
Yes.
give up one thing for the other? Why do you
Right.
want to trade off privacy and security for that reason, right? So that's what
Absolutely.
I think is the number one thing. If enterprises understand that, from a
Mm-hmm.
financial perspective, if enterprises understand that rather than spending millions of dollars on lost data sets and then cybersecurity, you just have to spend a fraction initially to get a blockchain installed, you are
Mm-hmm.
safe for lifetime, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. This is gold. I mean, I would say that this is what we keep telling people as well, that the Web3 system is kind of a merger of Web 1 and Web 2. Web 1 was when you were still writing letters, in your own handwriting and sending them. And when the email arrived, you were writing emails, and then you worried about the privacy because your data is definitely stored somewhere, even if it is encrypted. WhatsApp says everything is encrypted, but you don't know what's happening exactly, at the end of it all. If the big guy comes down and says, I need all that encrypted data, eventually, somebody's going to fall in line. So, and then what's going to happen to you? So this is
Absolutely.
where, because we have email on blockchain now, which basically is going to secure your communication and is going to give you the speed. So why not adopt that? What is it that is stopping enterprises, and why is it that they're not able to integrate the strategies that they need to develop? So we touched I'd say the surface of it, but there is such a deep iceberg of information that they would require. I encourage everyone to reach out to Harman eventually if you're interested in how your enterprise or how your business can gain from having adopting blockchain. This is the person that you want to reach out to. moving on from enterprises, coming to builders like us, right? The founders like us, and who are building NFT ecosystems and all of that. How would people navigate what's happening in the entire blockchain ecosystem? NFTs went from being like literally like memes to value, to now being thought about tokenization. NFTs are used for tokenization, which was the original idea of NFT, but they went from the original thinking to becoming a joke, to again coming back to what RWAs are implementing. How can this ecosystem flourish with the entire blockchain and the Web3 revolution?
So, first of all, I'm audible. It's fine. I just had to shift
Yes, you are.
devices, so just okay,
Yes, you are.
wonderful. And what you mentioned, I'll just try to add a little bit of detail on that. So NFTs, you summarized it very well, right? Initially, they were such a booming concept, but people didn't realize their value. Just anyone would put any amount of money to just like we focus on financial gains and overall benefit. But now people have started realizing the value of NFTs and now shifting towards enterprise adoption. People are using NFTs as digital product passports in the European Union to reduce
Mm-hmm.
paper wastage and increase sustainability, right? NFTs is such a vast use case as a whole concept,
Yeah.
and RWS is a classic example how real world assets are being used as NFTs. So the thing to understand here is that every new technology takes some time in adoption, right? When internet came, many people think it was very bad. Right now as well, when Elon Musk introduced internet to the Amazonians, the
Mm-hmm.
elders in Amazonian, they said that it's the worst thing that you can do, but the children, but the younger generation, they are
Mm-hmm.
so fascinated that they want to learn more. It's a new world for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's
Mm-hmm.
going to be back and forth in every technology. NFTs is just one classic example and very good example that how a concept evolves its value over time. You started realizing its true
Mm-hmm.
potential, and even the meme part is very important because that's how it got the fame initially. Otherwise, it would have ended up being just a concept. It wouldn't have
Right.
come to the light of the day, right? Similarly, for
Mm-hmm.
DeFi, uh, initially it gave 1,000x returns. It's unbelievable. It gave 1,000x returns to people. It felt
Yes.
unrealistic. But once
Mm-hmm.
people started understanding that, okay, it can replace the banking structure, it can introduce a new financial structure, it's now
Mm-hmm.
becoming more regulated and becoming more mainstream. Similarly, for
Mm-hmm.
every concept, uh, there is a lot of potential. We as a builder, we need to identify that potential and make sure that we are focused on that potential. There are some projects that I could have done in a meme coin era which could have made me a lot of money, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
because that's a one time thing. It's like a Diwali cracker. It goes off and then boom, that's over, right? You want a regular
Right.
thing, you want to build a legacy, you have to realize the potential of something and focus your whole energy towards building that.
On the NFTs and RWAs front, there is so much talk now, right? Everybody wants whenever there is an asset that does not make money anymore, right? There is no return. Let's say you have gold that is just sitting in your locker, or you have diamonds that are just not you have spent, let's say, lakhs on hundreds of thousands of dollars on it, and they don't really let's say you take a loan on it, pretty much it doesn't really give you a return, and you need to pay that loan back eventually. How do you make money out of assets that are just sitting ducks today, right? In the sense that um, you end up either paying a tax on them, if you sell them, if you make profit on them, or whatever it is. But how can NFTs or RWAs, so to speak, enable people to tokenize assets that are not or just I would say lying assets, just sitting there and not doing anything? How is it possible for them to actually utilize the NFT ecosystem to generate an income?
There is a very good example, like good suggestion or advice I can give to anyone hearing this. When you are thinking of this particular idea that you just mentioned, how NFTs can be used to make these assets more valuable rather than just sitting like making them idle in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get into the nitty gritties of what kind of platform you want to develop, what kind of features you want to keep. You want to keep this kind of standard of NFT, you want to have this kind of ownership, key structure. Forget everything. Focus
Mm-hmm.
on one main thing that NFTs are fulfilling, that's liquidity. An asset
Mm-hmm.
is as useful to you as it is liquid. If you are, having, god forbid, having a very big medical emergency, and you have 10-20 lakhs in mutual funds, they are not worth anything to you if you
Mm-hmm.
cannot withdraw them, right? At the
Right.
same time,
Right.
if you are standing at an airport and you want to just you don't have any other assets, you just want to get back home, the ticket is very expensive, no one is going to
Mm-hmm.
give you money based on how much gold you are wearing at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Airports are not going to take that, it's a long journey. But if you have
Yeah.
that NFT that represents that gold, you just sell the rights of gold right away and get the money in your account in that instant. That's the true
Exactly.
value of the whole ecosystem, right? Focus on the main goal, that is liquidity. Illiquid assets
Absolutely.
becoming liquid is an amazing thing that the world can give us.
Amazing, Aaron. This opens up the gates for literally anything that you hold. Let's say you have multiple cars that you can, simply you don't want to sell something. You have a valuable car, let's say a very old one that is an antique kind of a thing, or antiques that you want to display or antiques that you want to sell. That are just sitting there, valuable items that probably make you no money. You create the art, tokenize them, sell them in parts or whatever it is, raise funds for what you require, go on a vacation, fund your family's health and wealth, and all of that stuff, right? So which, if you look at the middle class, all across the globe, and not just the the in one part of the world, there are so many things that you could actually tokenize today, which people don't even realize,
And
right?
Kavita, one thing is, we as a new, like, older generation, we don't even understand the possibilities that are there. You see Gen Z and the younger generation, which is like, I know this influencer story. 16-year-old influencer from the US, she
Uh-huh.
sold the rights of her arm, that you can get a tattoo on my arm for this much rupees as an NFT. She has a lot
Oh.
of influence on Twitter. She has a big following. So whoever wants
Mm-hmm.
a branding, for example, Coca-Cola comes to her. Coca-Cola says
Uh-huh.
that, okay, I'll pay $500,000 for you to print Coca-Cola on your fingers. Like, it's crazy,
Yes,
right?
that is.
Possibilities are endless. You can make any revenue stream out of it for sure.
Let me tell the listeners, this is the time for you to ask questions about what you can actually tokenize. If you're just listening in and you're not asking questions, Harman's valuable time is here for you guys to have. We have another 34 minutes. Ask him questions. And I have a lot of questions to ask him, and I can ask them after the show. But if you are thinking about how the hell does a girl, a 16-year-old girl, make such valuable money by you wouldn't have thought, you probably would have thought you need a hoarding and all of that stuff that to advertise your space. But here is somebody who is extremely intelligent in the way she has assetized her own self. And there is so much you can actually do. You can assetize your, by the way, guys, you can assetize your time. You can sell, you can sell your hourly time as an asset. Saying 1 hour a day, I give you my time and I'll produce this. And this is how much it is going for. And this is, once you transfer the NFT, that time of yours is theirs. And I'm not kidding. So, and
Yeah.
this is something that you can actually do. And we're not going to give you all the ideas unless you ask the questions. So ask us the questions and we'll
Yeah,
give you the ideas. Right,
absolutely.
Harman?
Absolutely. And what she's just
This
telling,
is
that's
digital gold.
enforceable by law. It's legal. That's the
Yes.
beauty of blockchain. It's on the chain. There's a complete record of it. No one can double sell it. The traditional
Mhm.
challenge that you have, what if I buy someone's time, but they are giving time at 10 other places? That's not going to happen.
Yeah,
That's on the blockchain.
exactly.
That's just your time.
Exactly. That 1 hour, whether you use it or not, utilize it or not, is yours to have. And that is enforced by, if you understand blockchain any little bit, if you have heard the word the smart contract, all these NFTs actually are catered to and implemented through a smart contract. And once that is set on the blockchain and the smart contract, gives you their time or the transfers NFT to you, and that is yours to have. And this is digital gold, and we're not selling it for free. We're only selling it to you with the question. So ask away, as much as you can. So awesome, Harman, and I'm loving this today. Innovations, right? As we go in the emerging markets, innovations is another topic that is hot. What is an innovation? Exactly to so to speak. I will leave it to you. I'm not going to say anything. What is innovation in an emerging market? How do you define innovation?
So, breaking the traditional barrier of thought, innovation is not always doing something new. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's trying to rotate the wheel in a different direction, or making sure that there's a new way to rotate the wheel, right? Innovation is, with respect to blockchain and the topic that we have in hand today, innovation
Mhm.
in the current world or in the enterprise world right now is how
Mhm.
you can integrate a technology to make your existing processes much more efficient, to make your life
Mhm.
easier. That's innovation for
Mhm.
us. Zomato is an innovation, and
Yep.
Zomato is one of the beautiful innovations, right? You can just get your food at your door whenever you want, rather than going out spending time in commute. We are dependent on that today, right? Similarly, imagine
Right.
what kind of innovations can help motivate your enterprise, help increase the productivity, and help
Mhm.
increase the overall well-being of the complete ecosystem, right? Any type of integration,
Right.
that's innovation for me, right? uh,
Mhm.
so in a nutshell, anything that makes your life easier
Mhm.
through integration of blockchain in this particular regard, but overall anything that makes your life easier, that's innovation for me.
That's a great response, Herman. And I just want to add a little bit to that. Um, Everybody is wondering. Usually, like, oh, I have missed the bus. I've missed the train. I should have been born. I remember Coinbase's the founder Brian, thinking that maybe he missed the train. Maybe he should have been born like in a long time ago and all of that stuff. But you never miss the train, guys. There's so much to be done. There's so much to be understood. There's so much to be given to the community, and then, their community is here. They're the most friendly ones. You tell them that this is going to change your life. This is going to make your everyday life easy. They're going to be there to support you. So talk to the community, reach out to the community, and this is how you become an innovator in an emerging market, right? You have a lot of space to innovate today, and any single thing. Let's just talk about simple things like Herman talked about Zomato, but that did not stop Swiggy to enter the market. That did not stop Blinkit to enter the market, and they carved out their little bit innovation to what already exists, right? And they created their own space. So remember that if there is already a blockchain, that does not mean you cannot build a blockchain. You can build a different kind of blockchain. Maybe you can build a faster blockchain, make it build more trustworthy blockchain. What is a more trustworthy blockchain? That is for you to figure it out, right? So get out there, get to the whiteboards, and do all of that stuff. And the man to reach out to if you want advice, Harman Puri again. So thanks, Harman, for that. And I'm going to come to you because I have a few questions of my own, because I'm a founder myself, and I definitely have a lot of enough learning to empower myself. And that brings us to what is educational empowerment. Because I know that you educate 5,000 students. Give us the complete lowdown about how you do it, and what it is, what it means to them, what it means to you, and how it impacts the entire industry.
So this is a question which, rather than answering directly, I would like to share a small story of how I got into blockchain. Back in 2018, when I started, I got a very, I had to face a lot of criticism and a pushback, being from a tier two city. No one knew what blockchain is. No one understood the potential of technology, right? Everyone understood that, okay,
Mhm,
learn Java and you can get a job at TCS or Wipro. You get started with
mhm,
27,000 rupees as compared to the 5,000 rupees that I made initially. And you are set for life. In the next 3, 4 years, you get some increments, you shift jobs, you get to a package of 12 lakhs, 15 lakhs, and then so on and so forth, right? Apart from that criticism, the first reason for that criticism was there was no awareness, right? And the reason was because no one took any step to help educate people. And second thing, even that criticism was not bigger deal. It just adds to your motivation when you want to do something. But coupled with the absence of the right resources, that criticism could have held me down for a long time, because there were no resources where I could learn. There was no one I could get advice from. There was no one I could talk to if blockchain is going to stay there or not. 2018, that was a very dark era, right? Indian government was banning crypto and blockchain every time. Market was low, very big drop in Bitcoin. Many people were, saying that it's over for it. I wanted to learn, and I remember there was this one book on blockchain, just one good book I could find, right? Not even good courses online at that time. One book I found, I read that, I started implementing, I secured an internship, I started implementing things in a practical sense, and then kept on learning eventually. That learning phase, I feel like, could have been much shorter, and it could have given me much more growth at a certain time. If only I had access to the right resources at the right time, I would have grown to a much greater level that where I am right now, right? And I want to make sure that other people in a similar sense do not face that issue. That's where I committed myself to doing education on the side. Whenever I get a chance, I take sessions. I completed one book on blockchain, which then got into some universities. Apparently, coincidentally, your main initial question, why enterprises should get into blockchain. So that name of my book is also why blockchain, because that's the question that everyone needs to answer. Right? That's the question. Before getting into how or what, or what's the benefit, understand why exactly you need it. And that's where I got motivated to help students. Simple format, just telling them what is blockchain is enough to get them interested in it. Once people understand the potential, they get into it. You paint a good picture, everyone wants to look at it, and some even want to paint like it, right? So that's all.
Fantastic. I mean, your journey has, in itself is a lesson that you're teaching other students and other people who are interested. There is no excuse today, if you want to learn, there is, I would say that back in 2016, when I took interest in understanding what blockchain is and all of that, everybody would talk about is Ethereum and or Bitcoin, Ethereum and Bitcoin, Ethereum. Oh, Litecoin. Oh, never mind. That's okay. We'll just bother about Bitcoin. But nobody wanted to understand the technology, and nobody wanted to encourage you to understand the technology. And even because of all the things that even the government focused on, that the cryptocurrency part of things, that it is being used by drug peddlers and that and this and all the stuff, and terrorists and kidnappers, trying to do all of that. The initial understanding and the focus had been on cryptocurrency, not so much on the underlying technology of the blockchain. That took a while to catch up. Cryptocurrency is just it is just a part of what you utilize. It enables the technology. It is not the technology. It enables the technology. What is a block? How is the block built? Block is built by some energy spent on the computers, and because you're giving that energy, you're getting actually transmit the block and stuff like that. Do all those things. Later. And I think some of us who took interest in the early years found it very hard to find resources to learn, resources to understand, advisors to guide us, and none of those. And today, with people like you, and there's one other person I always talk about, Raj Kapoor of the India Blockchain Association, right? People like you are looking at educating, which is the most, I would say, as it is, teachers are, it is the most honorable profession that can actually somebody can take up. And in blockchain, especially if you're willing to teach people and write books on, and which can be easily understood, read, understood, and all of that stuff, it is an honor for people to actually come to you and learn. The more we talk about all these aspects, I keep coming back to one thing. the less we understand, the more we fear things, right? The more we understand, the more confusion sometimes it happens too. So what are the layers that we need to peel off? What are the first layers? Because you wrote the book Blockchain, let's talk a little bit about that, right? What are the first layers we need to peel off of this onion, so to speak, to not be confused, threatened, or put off by blockchain?
Sure. So, in my experience, the biggest thing that holds people back is the fear that what if we spend too much time and too much effort and end result is not happening, it's not good enough, it doesn't happen, it's too complex, it might not be useful for us, right? So, again, as you rightly mentioned,
Mhm.
that lack of understanding is the biggest issue, right? So, the first layer that needs to be peeled off is understanding what kind of changes it will bring in the ecosystem, right? For example, if I want to get from point A to point B, there are 10 ways to do that, right?
Mhm.
And finding the shortest way is not always the right option. Maybe it's not the most secured way. Maybe the
Mhm.
shortest way is through a jungle. It's having a lot of traps and everything, right? And the longest
Mhm.
way, it's not suitable for you. Maybe there is
Mhm.
another way you can reach from point A to point B. It is
Mhm.
worth at least exploring what are the other ways, right? That's where you start. That's the simplest and most easiest thing. Don't get into the nitty gritties of how expensive it is or what kind of resources you want. At the end, it's going to surprise you. It's not that big a deal. It's easier than other digital transformations.
Mhm.
It's more simpler in terms of
Mhm.
implementation. But anyway, uh, what you have to understand it, at least understand what are the different ways you can reach your goal. If your goal is to build, for example, a digital identity platform wherein you want to make
Mhm.
sure that no identity theft can be there, no person can steal your identity, you can prove your identity in a very secured manner, and you have complete access to all your identity documents. What is the
Mhm.
best way to reach that goal? And once you focus on that partner, you will understand there is no better solution than blockchain. You will
Right.
forget all other solutions. Once you understand that blockchain is the only solution, there is no one who can stop you in peeling off the rest of the layers.
Right. Right.
So that
Great.
value
Yes.
part yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Herman. Yes.
No, I was saying, just ending it up, that the value part you just have to understand. Once you make your
Mhm.
mind, so it's just like a man after marriage wants to cook because he wants to make sure that he contributes in the kitchen. It might
Mhm.
feel difficult, but once he start doing it, he sees the end goal of having a calm evening. Then he definitely cooks, and it's not difficult to find ways to
Yes.
cook. So
Right.
that's the thing.
Good analogy. Um, this holds true for both users and enterprises, right, Herman? In terms of for the enterprises to do an internal audit as to exactly what they need to peel off in terms of what are the layers that they are buried under in the web 2 space. What is it that they need to what is the first step they need to take to kind of enable them? If it's a enterprise, do they give IDs to their employees? Do they make the payroll through the employees, or they enable their if it's a college, do they enable the student IDs and degrees to the employees? If it's a logistics chain, so what is it that so every industry has its own challenges. So and each challenge can be matched with a solution on the blockchain, because there are, if you look at it, the number of solutions that we have in the web3 space today is enormous, right? You have DeFi solutions, you have metaverse solutions for education and doing all of that stuff, you have ID solutions that are useful for the government, for the individuals and enterprises, and then you have logistics chains that are being built, private chains, public chains that are being built. So there is not one thing that is not being addressed. For copyrights or whatever it is, you have the NFTs that, or the RWAs or whatever it is for real estate companies. So there is solution for everyone in this in this space that people can look at. So the one way that an enterprise can look at is to peel off those layers of their onions and look at what is it that we are buried under, where is it that our ROI is is probably has kind of plateaued or whatever it is, and all of that, and see how they can actually save money, make money, and do all of those things. um, And there's one
So
more, one final thing that I go ahead, Arman.
no, please.
No, go ahead. I'll come to that question. That's my, mind. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, something just came to my mind, so I thought it's better I just get it out. So think of it like enterprises right now live in a very old house, right? They have
Mm-hmm.
a house built in the 80s or 90s. It's a very old building. They are very
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. They know that if they shift anything, it's all going to break down, and they might have to rebuild, which is a lot of cost and a lot of effort, right? They don't have time for that, and they don't have the proper strategy for that.
Mm-hmm.
What enterprises need to understand is,
Right.
before renovating your whole house or building your whole company from scratch, you just have to put a
Mm-hmm.
fingerprint locker on the door. You don't
Right.
have to rebuild everything initially. You just have to build a fingerprint locker, and it is secure at least, right? The
Exactly. Exactly.
integration of blockchain is so easy that any system, any legacy system, let it be PHP, Java, C++, whatever it is, you just
Mm-hmm.
create one small button of putting the data on blockchain and then getting the data from blockchain. That's enough, right? Obviously it's
Big
going to
and
need a
small.
lot of meticulously architected thing. You need architecture to be defined, which blockchain you need, what kind of structure you need. But
Mm-hmm.
integration is so simple. You just have to change the database and put blockchain instead, and every problem is solved. Then you can renovate slowly. You can make as much
Yeah.
changes as you want over time.
Yeah, you build the services on top of it eventually, like the database happened. You start building Excels, you start building all of these things, later on. Start small, build trust. That's the way to go. And that brings me to to the question relevant to Solvers a little bit, because I wanted to pick your brains on this. So we have this tagline: start small and build trust, right? So now, what that means to us is that you adopt a wallet solution with your with your own identities, or you start your credibility, and you start asking your universities to give your degrees on that. And that's where it the initial entering the system starts. You don't look at a government giving you a driver's license on it, or unless the government has already adopted the digital ID system, right? So how do you talk to people, that the users that are saying, well, we are it doesn't make sense to us. Why should we download all these wallets? Why should I download even, let's say, MetaMask or anything like that? you know um, so what do you tell them to how to enter, and which enables them the entry to the entire industry, which instead of looking from outside, people went crazy and started putting out so many Gmail IDs. You had 10 Gmail IDs at one time, right? We wanted all kinds of, we came up with our own alternate personalities, and we had emails for all of them, right?
Yeah.
So, but that made us feel like, oh, we are, even if we got one mail in a week, we were happy. So how do you encourage people to get into the blockchain and to actually experience it, to actually use it on from the user point of view? How would you encourage them to take that first step?
So when you put it this way, very simple easy answer is to show them the value, to show them, okay, if you can download Google Pay to make your payments, it makes your life so easier, why not download a MetaMask, right? But that's not something that works with everyone. 90% of people I've seen, they do not want to explore just because they might get some benefits. They want to see benefits first and then get into it. What
Mm-hmm.
I feel like is the best way to get people interested is, show them exclusivity, that
Mm-hmm.
already million people are using this, and this is the kind of benefit they are getting. If you want
Mm-hmm.
in, you have to get in. It's not
Mm-hmm.
our benefit, it's your benefit. And if you don't want to get in, those million people are ahead of you already. You're already behind 1 million people, because
Mm-hmm.
they have access to this advanced technology. They
Mm-hmm.
will be the ones, when this technology evolves, they will not just use it, they will understand what's happening,
Mm-hmm.
and then they can
Mm-hmm.
do it further. They will have more part in it, right? So it's like, once the dish is made, everyone can eat it. But the one who knows what
Right.
kind of spice is being used, they can make their own dish as well. They can make new dishes, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there has to be exclusivity. There has to be a sense of FOMO between people, rather than so many companies
Mhm.
persuading users to join. They should be saying that if you don't join, it's your loss, and it's true, right? You are void of such a good ecosystem.
That's very true. It's hard for, it sometimes it can get little hard to make them understand what is good for them. It is probably easy to understand what they will lose. And usually, a human psychology responds to what is, the form of things, right?
Yeah.
And that could be a good way. Education also, it's a good way to educate them of what they're going to lose. um, Very well answered, Herman, thank you so much. I think, we're going to put that out in the question and answers, post the show, and we're going to highlight this part based that way, because if you don't get in, now you should understand what you're going to lose. And that's a great way to make people understand how blockchain and Web3 is going to make their life easier. Now we have a few questions for you, and this is based on what you've worked on and put together by none other than our Ali, who enables his entire Soul Show. And thanks to him, I have all these cool questions to ask you. So, what is the most exciting NFT project you've worked on?
I've been working on my own NFT project, so that's the most exciting for me.
Mhm.
But I don't want to turn it into a marketing thing. So I've worked on a lot of NFT projects which are based on animals, which are based on PFPs and other things. But uh, where my
Mhm.
interest now lies is NFTs that are based on engagement, right? Obviously, many
Mhm.
people always keep talking about utility, what's NFT is going to get you, what kind of RWAs you can buy. I am focusing on NFTs that improve engagement through participation. Like, okay,
Mhm.
many people tried coming up with ticketing platforms, tickets as NFTs. That was
Mhm.
one small step in the right direction, but it
Mhm.
can be improved much further by changing the model of engagement through NFTs.
Okay. Okay, we look forward to that. If you don't mind telling us about the project's name, that way our viewers can actually go look it up and see how it benefits them, and probably reach out to you to build something very similar.
Absolutely. So currently, I'm building Marvel Punks. Inspired by Marvel comics. I have marvelpunks.com. It's still in
Okay.
stage of development and planning, but I am trying to
Okay.
create a platform where fans can come together and discuss their favorite Marvel, characters, and then even build their own characters, and then bring them through life through NFTs, and then discuss on the platform through that.
Interesting, guys. Marvelpunks.com. And my next step is going to be, after we are done here, going to go there and check it out. If you could change one thing about blockchain industry, Harman, what would it be?
Uh, the how should I put it in a better way? But so the value that the enterprise blockchain has lost, uh,
Mm-hmm.
that I would change for sure. Enterprise blockchain, private blockchains, they have lost their value because people have failed to understand the benefit
Mm-hmm.
of having a closed door blockchain in their ecosystem. I remember the days when I used
Mm-hmm.
to build solutions on Corda blockchain or use enterprise Ethereum or Hyperledger for that matter. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, they are still
Mm-hmm.
growing, but in the shadows, public blockchains have taken all the limelight. But I think that's something that I
Mm-hmm.
would change. I would try to bring more equality between the both worlds, making people understand that okay,
Mm-hmm.
private blockchains are also crucial in certain areas.
Yes, I mean, I remember when private blockchains happened, it was complete anathema to, what the blockchain stood for, right? It's public ledger, it's immutable and all of that stuff. And when the private blockchain showed up, and especially when some of the large, brands like IBM and everybody built healthcare systems using private blockchains, there was a big uproar. And it was like, if I can't have control over my data, which is the whole point of the blockchain, why am I part of the system? And I think, yes, they have lost a certain sheen and being, kind of nudged out of the system. But when it comes to security for a sovereign country, that could be one of the ways. but there should be some interoperability on that sense there, which doesn't exist. So we need to kind of build on, on these things to kind of help, people understand. Thank you. I think that is a great point made, Herman. Private blockchains it is. I would love to probably, contribute to that as well. And what is the coolest innovation you have seen in blockchain this year, particularly?
Okay, that's a tough one. Coolest narration. So I'll probably say the shift from defense to offense in the crypto space. How Coinbase has taken the offensive, and how governments have now started accepting, even in
Mhm.
India, one quote in the eastern state, they ruled in favor of a blockchain based solution. So that's a narrative that I'm
Yes,
loving.
sir.
I'm
Yes.
hoping
Yeah.
it will pick up. It has not picked up properly. It's just hopeful right now.
Mhm.
But there is one small step in the right
Mhm.
direction. If it picks up, then it's going to be a game changer.
I can't agree more. And I think, all the policies and governances that are showing up on the radar in different countries. And I've been a big fan of, countries adopting identity, not just because we're building it, but they're, initially we thought, how are we going to teach them? And now, right now, the problem is, how are we going to reach them? So, and that's a great shift, Herman, and so many levels. If you could describe the future of Web3 in 3 words, we'll be grateful.
Future of Web3 in 3 words. Okay. Obviously exciting.
Maybe 3
uh,
traits.
uh, so exciting is one part, I just say, but more importantly, for me, it's how we are going to create a legacy in Web3. That's something that
Mm-hmm.
I'm very looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
So as you mentioned in the initial conversation, right, that we always feel like we are born too late. We
Yeah.
missed out on some things. Web3 has
Mm-hmm.
given us that chance to, make sure that we leave out a legacy, and that's the kind of
Mm-hmm.
future I'm looking at. Like, what kind of future we build that
Mm-hmm.
takes much more, engagement further and becomes a legacy for other people. So that's one. And then
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to see how DeFi becomes more mainstream. I'm not a very DeFi
Mm-hmm.
native person, but I want to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that I can witness the evolution of financial ecosystem firsthand, because this is very underrated kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
right now. People use DeFi so often that they have lost the value of the actual reason behind it. We have had the same
Mm-hmm.
financial structure for almost thousands of years, and now it's all being
Mm-hmm.
shifted to a decentralized ecosystem of payments, right? Rather than a centralized
Mm-hmm.
authority issuing a currency, we have a way of making our own currency. If I have 1 ton of gold, I can create my own currency and trade with you. That's amazingly
Yeah.
powerful. I
Yeah.
can trade in a very genuine
Exactly.
manner, which no one can. Like, I cannot fake it. I cannot, scam anyone.
Mm-hmm.
That's an amazing thing to look out for. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I'm very looking forward to.
Absolutely. And we have an interesting comment, Harman. The shadow of your cap is creating and making people think like you have very long beard. So
I intend to
that
have
is
it. I'm not able to grow it, but I definitely intend to have it.
so interesting, Fatima. So there it is. He is definitely trying to grow it. And, maybe next time when we have him on the show, you will see him with a longer beard
The
and not
blockchain
just a
beard
shadow.
I can.
That'll be something.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I know. I do know that, since we are getting comments, I do know that we have interesting, people interested in blockchain listening to us. And what would be your, um, not just, a small tip or, a broad tip for aspiring blockchain developers? At most of the times, this is what we miss, right? We're talking about founders, we're talking about startups, we're talking about enterprises, we're talking about everybody but the actual people who are slogging away, building all these applications, building the code, that puts out the new innovations, the new IP out there, the new patents that are being enabled. What would you tell these not just aspiring but talented and really hardworking blockchain developers? What is your tip and what is your advice to them?
So you already have a lot of resources or people out there saying that okay, it's going to be a big thing, do this, do that, right? So my only advice
Mm-hmm.
is take a leap of faith. uh, I took
Mm-hmm.
a leap of faith. I stuck to it for at least 6 months, and I couldn't be happier in my life. Obviously, telling things seems like bragging, so I won't tell a lot. But I am sure that I wouldn't be here where I am right now if I hadn't taken that leap of
Mm-hmm.
faith. If you are into
Mm-hmm.
blockchain, you are starting learning, don't get distracted by all the other things coming around. If you think you can build better things in other technologies, definitely explore
Mm-hmm.
them, right? But if you are committing yourself to blockchain, give yourself 6 months, at least 6 months, and your life will be changed for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think one thing is to learn both sides of the blockchain, the technology side and the crypto side, because a lot of the times they go hand in hand, because a lot of companies that are building applications end up issuing tokens to for their native currencies. And it for you to understand how a smart contract works, solidity works, and all of that, it's a great way for you to go into development of things with a lot of knowledge in your hands. And thank you, Herman. This is valuable. And if you're a developer, if you're a founder, there is value in talking to Herman, no matter which side you're on in this spectrum of blockchain industry. You're building things, you're enabling a builder, a developer, startup person, you're financing any of these. So he understands how to turn zero to millions of dollars. So you have a great person in Herman to reach out to, and we value his time. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you everybody who's joined us today and asked us some questions that um, kept up the fun factor as well. And we'll look forward to seeing Herman's long beard one of these days. Thank you for joining us. I say a bit adieu and with grace and gratitude. I'm Kavita, your host, and this is Herman, your speaker today. We say goodbye to season 2, episode 3 of Soul Show. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.